Hello, my name is Nathan Ibanez, and today I'm going to be talking about vocal delivery, body delivery, and presentation aids and how to best use them in your speeches. So, we're going to start off with vocal delivery. Vocal delivery is anything involving the components of speech relating to vocal components. So, some examples of these components would be volume, intonation, pitch, speaking rate, pauses, and vocal variety. I'm going to be talking to you about these, what they are, and how to best use them when you're speaking. So first off, volume. Volume is the loudness of a speaker's voice, and it is one of the most important vocal components because you need your speakers to hear you. You need your audience to hear you. If your audience can't properly hear you when you're doing a speech, ultimately what you're saying will be pointless because it's falling on deaf ears. Next, we have intonation. Intonation is the rising and falling of sound across phrases. And it's really important because it affects the meaning associated with words. Without using proper intonation, you can have a serious lack of understanding between you and the audience. You have to use intonation properly if you want your audience to understand what you're saying and understand how you're trying to say it, if that makes sense. Pitch is next one, and that is the range of sounds from high to low. Directly related to intonation, pitch, again, it's the range, it's, the rising and falling of sound. Pitch, up, down, high, low. You are going to be using this in intonation to, again, make sure that the correct meaning is being associated. Next, we have speaking rate. Speaking rate is quite simply the rate at which you speak, right there in the word. You want to make sure you're not going too fast or too slow for your audience, that to be able to understand what you're saying. And however, you shouldn't be going too slow, because if you're going too slow, you're going to lose their interest, quite simply. Next, we have pauses. Pauses are usually used strategically in order to help your audience understand a certain point you're trying to enhance. Just be careful when you're using a pause, because you don't want to use it at the wrong time. Otherwise, you can incorrectly convey something that you weren't trying to convey. And next, we have vocal variety. So vocal variety is just the vocal components I mentioned beforehand, all in one. You just want to strive for vocal variety in general when you're giving the vocal deliver, or when you're delivering the vocal part of your speech, because if you're going to be monotone your entire speech, or if you just don't mix things up enough, this can often result in your audience not being focused. They're not going to be drawn to what you're saying because it's not sounding interesting, quite simply. And yeah, I would just practice using vocal variety. The more you use vocal variety in your speeches or your presentations, however or whatever it may be, the better you're going to do in it. And that's just facts. So other tips. Besides practicing speaking, which is the best way to get better at it, you also want to practice pronouncing the words. So if you're not good at properly saying a word, practice saying that word, and also make sure that you're avoiding vocal fillers while you're writing your speech or speaking in general. What vocal fillers are really words that are like such as or like. You just want to avoid words like that because it doesn't really make you look like you know what you're talking about. And yeah, going over vocal delivery again. We want to practice vocal variety, intonation, volume, correct pauses, speaking rate, and yeah, really those. And we want to focus on pronouncing words correctly along with leaving out vocal fillers. So yeah, overall, just try and practice speaking out loud. Get comfortable with it, and make sure to apply the concept of vocal variety while leaving out vocal fillers. And make sure that you are pronouncing words correctly. On to body delivery. Body delivery is the component of delivery relating to body language. So this includes facial expressions, smiling naturally, good eye contact, good posture, good use of gestures, I suppose. Yeah, hand gestures, arm gestures, any gestures really. And yeah. So again, by using this, you are helping your audience stay interested in what you're saying, and you're going to help them feel more connected to you. So you want to make sure that you are eliminating distracting gestures. There is such a thing as too much. You don't want to use exaggerated gestures, and distracting or exaggerated gestures you want to eliminate, because that will take the audience's focus away from what you're saying onto what you're doing, and you don't want to do that, because then your point will be lost. Again, good eye contact, sitting up straight, good posture, natural spontaneous gestures, and really animate your facial expressions. And the best way to get better at body delivery is to practice. Just like vocal delivery, you're only going to get better if you practice. You want to make sure that everything flows smoothly, it doesn't feel awkward or pushed. And yeah, on to our final point. Presentation aids. So there are many types of presentation aids. All of them have their own pros and cons. There are props, models, pictures, graphs, charts, tables. All of them have different purposes. When using a presentation aid, make sure that you're using the appropriate one for the right purpose, or for whatever purpose you're trying to convey. Make sure that the presentation aid isn't the entire presentation. It's simply a tool to help your audience understand what you're trying to teach. Do not rely on the presentation aid. And along with that, you want to, again, just research the pros and cons of each presentation aid. Understand that all of them are better for certain purposes than others. For example, I wouldn't use a prop, or I wouldn't use a prop if I was trying to convey data. It just doesn't really fit in. They all have better purposes, and just really research what you're using. Overall, that's really it when it comes to presentation aids. Thank you for watching my video, and goodbye.